Hi, this is Terrence. Today I want to guide you through the Blitzvertising ad scaling system at Radical Marketing. Now, principle number one is that we want to find a winning control ad, a hook, an audience, and a creative. Okay, so basically we want to find what is the best combination of messaging, of audiences, creatives, in order to find the best ad to run. Okay, so this is the most important thing, is to find the winning ad, right? And then once we have found a winning ad, the principle there is to beat the winning ad, to find new combinations that can beat the winning ad. The third thing is that's really important is that we test one variable at a time, right? Now, many people might want to test like images and the headline at the same time, right? That doesn't work. I mean, the best thing to do is that we test one variable at a time, right? So that we don't get confused ourselves as to what's really working, okay? So if you want to test something on the image, test it on the image. If you want to test something on the landing page, you test it on the landing page, and you test one thing. Don't test the headline and the VSL on the landing page, because then you don't really know what works, okay? So I think there's the three principles to explain so that you understand where we're coming from and what the whole objective of the whole plan is here. So let's get into it, right? So I think what's really important is that we start off with a generic headline on the landing page, okay? We want to use Facebook to first test, because Facebook is the platform that, number one, gives us the biggest audience, number two, gives us fast results, right? So we want to test on Facebook. And what we want to do, first of all, is conduct what we call a hook test, right? Or more accurately, probably is more like a big ideas test, right? What are the big ideas that people will grasp onto, okay? So how do we do this? Is by writing 15, 20, 30 different big ideas down, and we test it out with the previously best performing audience. Now, if we don't have a previously best performing audience, if this is a brand new client, then what we want to do is to make sure we create lookalike from their existing customers. That would be the best audience to test, okay, to initiate this initial test. Right, I won't go into the details as to how we test them out, but you can actually just read it down here. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? And what we want to do at this point in time is to determine what is our control hook. So out of those 20, 30 different ads, you might find 2 or 3 that are really good and show a lot of promise, right? This is where you want to basically get those, that 1, 2, or 3 ads, and we want to move it up onto the next stage, okay? And the next stage is to flesh out the hooks. So in step 1, what we have is just a very, very simple, like 1 paragraph ad, right? In step 2, this is where we flesh out the hooks, 30 words kind of thing, really, really short. Then the next stage, this is where you want to flesh it out to say 200 words, 300 words, or thereabouts, okay? And that is where we want to build a full-blown ad copy that relates specifically to that hook that is the winner out of those 20 or 30 hooks that we initially test, okay? So I won't bore you with details, but at this stage, what is really important is to determine whether we can find a hooks that we initially test, okay? So I won't bore you with details, but at this stage, what is really important is to determine whether we can find a best performance. Can we find which is our control ad copy now, okay? So, and once we find our control ad copy, this is where we need to update our landing page to incorporate the main winning ad copy, the hook of the main winning ad copy into the landing page, okay? So, and the other hooks that maybe came in 3rd or 4th and 5th kind of thing, what we can do is we can use that as the bullet points on the landing page itself, so that those that data is not wasted, and that we can actually, because people actually responded to those points, we should incorporate it into the landing page as well, okay? And then what happens is then in step 3, this is where we need to find the right audience. So remember, we're testing one thing at a time, right? So we fleshed out the hooks, we out of 3 or 4 or 5 different ads we picked, we might have found the one best control ad. Now we want to find which audience resonates best with this ad, right? So this is where we test out different audiences, different interests, different lookalikes, various maybe broad targeting even, just to see which audience responds best to our new winning control hook, okay? So then the next step there is to find the best creative, okay? So we now have winning audience, we have the winning ad. Now what we want to do is we want to test out different types of images. So this is where we might test out a meme, might test out a lifestyle image, might test out cartoons, AI generated images, right? And various other images, so that we can see which image do people in this audience respond the most to. We'll be running these ads and we'll see which type of image brings in the best cost per lead and in this situation, okay? So, all right, so what we want to do here is we find the best image, not just the best image, but we also need to remind ourselves what is the genre of the image that this target market seems to respond to. The next stage here is to scale as fast as possible. This is where we plug in big budgets, we scale with audiences, we might even scale with audiences again, yep, and we might add more creatives that relate to that original message, that original winning creative. And what we want to do is we want to kind of still test out new ad copy that is relevant to that main big idea that or the main hook that is performing, right? So say for example, if we have full-length ad, we might have different ways of saying the headline, for example, right? So we test out sometimes even by putting the sentence structure, by putting one thing after another. In a sense, we're also testing, and at the same time we're refreshing so that ad fatigue doesn't kick in so fast, right? So this is where we can scale to various other lookalike audiences. So say for example, previously we might be using a 1% lookalike audience, and that is the best audience. What we might want to do is to scale to related audiences like 2% lookalike audiences. And say for example, if in interest, for example, you might have real estate investing as a interest, right? Maybe you want to scale that to a related interest like maybe real estate, all right, as an interest, right? So that is part like a bigger audience, right? And that you are able to scale more using the existing winning interest like maybe real estate, all right, as an interest, right? So that is part like a bigger audience, right? And that you are able to scale more using the existing winning ad copy, right? The interest like maybe real estate, all right, as an interest, right? So that is part like a bigger audience, right? And that you are able to scale more using the existing winning ad copy, right? We want to like basically use variations, starting variations, for example, of the winning Facebook ad, right? So the first 5-10 seconds is absolutely critical, right, to get people's attention. So we might want like 5 or 6 different variations of that at the start, right? So that to see what variations actually work to capture people's attention. And then at the end, we might have 3 call to actions. One might be stronger, more direct kind of call to action. One might be a bit softer, and the other one might be, say, for example, more benefit oriented, like a soft sell kind of thing, right? So, or one might be shorter. There's various ways to do it, all right? With this, we can run it on YouTube, right? Because YouTube is more of a video channel. And from there, we can have basically combining 6 video openings, 1 body, and 3 call to actions. This means we have 18 video variations that we can start launching on YouTube as well, and to dominate that platform and use that platform to also start testing whether this works on that platform as well. Okay, because usually what happens is what works on YouTube generally works on Facebook, but what works on Facebook in terms of videos may not necessarily work on YouTube. All right, that is what we found anyway. Okay, so this is where we start scaling with YouTube. Basically, at the end of it, this is where we also split our landing pages, where we create multiple landing pages that are relevant to various messagings. Based on the various hook tests, we might create different variations with different openings. So those openings or the call to actions, it might not be congruent with the previous landing page that we have developed so far. So we want to look at that messaging, and then with that messaging, make sure our landing pages are more congruent. Say, for example, if we end up with 2 YouTube ads that really work and 2 Facebook ads that really work, we might have 4 different landing pages, one for each of these ads, okay? So that we can get better, higher conversion rates. This is the whole concept there, where we actually tailor our landing page to the ad, right? So it's more congruent and we get better conversion rates. All right, so that is in a nutshell how the system works, the Blitzvertising system. Why we call it Blitzvertising is because, as you can see, we test a lot of things in a very rapid fashion. At the scaling phase, once we enter into scaling phase, that doesn't mean we stop, right? It basically means that we are still testing based on the feedback that we got from the data, and we're still testing new hooks, right? So for subsequent rounds, we don't need to test 20 or 30 because that's a big drain on the budget. Unless the client has the budget, then that's fine. But otherwise, we might test just 5 different new hooks and just repeat the whole process again, right? So that we are looking at still beating the ad that has gone to the scaling phase, right? So this becomes a self-perpetuating cycle of creating winning ads all the time, right? And second thing here is the ad hook should drive the landing page headline test. So, instead of the landing page just being, randomly tested, we are actually using the data from the ads to actually see what works for the landing page as well. We're using the same messaging for the landing page, right? So, and as I mentioned just now, control ads should have their own landing page headline, right? So control ads, once it works, we want to design a landing page very specifically for that control ad, right? And then until the next ad is beat and all that kind of stuff, until the winning ad is beat, the control ad is beat, then we also create a new landing page for the new control ad, right? So, okay, so I hope this explains the Blitzvertising ad scaling system. And yeah, this is something that we have developed in-house because we often test with a lot of big budgets. And this is the best way we can find hooks and ideas that actually work in a very rapid manner. So instead of testing one thing at a time at the start, we're testing a lot of things, a lot of messages at the start, because we believe that messaging is the key needle mover in the whole campaign. So once you get a message right, everything should follow the message, right? And so that's how we do it. I hope this explains the Blitzvertising 8 ad scaling system, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video.